English place names, they're confusing, they're funny, some of them are rude, and almost all of them can be downright impossible to pronounce. From Worcester to Chomondeley, these names will even have native speakers scratching their heads, including me. But the real question is, can you pronounce them correctly? So in today's video, we're testing your pronunciation skills with 30 of the hardest to pronounce English place names I could find. I'm going to share how they're really said, the common mistakes people make, and a little bit of history behind each one. So grab a pen, keep track of how many you get right and wrong, and let me know in the comments how you did. Let's start with a classic. This one is definitely not pronounced how it's spelt. It's pronounced correctly, Belvoir Castle. We do not say Belvoir or Belvoir or anything even remotely French sounding. Yeah, it looks French, but this is England. So naturally, we threw the French pronunciation out of the window and we called it Belvoir. Belvoir Castle is absolutely stunning and has even been featured in The Crown and in the Da Vinci Code. So if you're into royal drama or Tom Hanks, you will want to check this out. Next up, and a little easier, but not crazy easy, we've got this one. It's pronounced Berkshire. We do not say Berkshire or Berkshire or Berkshire. The key here is to ignore the spelling. Just think of a dog barking and you've got it. Berkshire. Berkshire is home to Windsor Castle, another castle, this is England, where the late Queen Elizabeth often spent her weekends. So it is a pretty posh place. Number 3 will definitely test your English pronunciation skills. It's not pronounced again how it's spelt. It's pronounced Bicester, like sister, but with a B. So we don't say Bicester or Bicester. And if you're saying all 3 syllables, just stop. The name is not fancy, it's just Bicester. Bicester is famous for a luxury shopping village. Think outlet malls, but with designers. Number 4, we get fancy with this one. This one is correctly pronounced Beaulieu. Don't say Beaulieu or Beaulieu or Beaulieu. This one is French again. And as usual, we've anglicised it beyond recognition. Just say Beaulieu and pretend it makes sense. Beaulieu is home to the National Motor Museum, which is perfect for car enthusiasts or people who just like shiny things. Next up, I'm actually pleased that this one is not said how it's spelt because it's crazy. It is the legendary Chomondeley. We pronounce it Chomondeley. So we don't say Chomondeley or Chomondeley. This one's a real curveball. It looks like a tongue twister, but the locals, thankfully, have simplified it down just to 2 easy syllables. Chomondeley. Chomondeley Castle is surrounded by award-winning gardens, which are as beautiful as its name is confusing. Next up is a little bit closer to where I'm from in the northeast of England. Correctly pronounced, this is Durham. We do not say Durham or Durham. Even the Queen wouldn't pronounce the H here, so if you're doing it, you're being way too posh. Durham Cathedral is stunning. It is also one of the filming locations for Harry Potter, doubling as parts of Hogwarts, especially the outside cloisters bit. So it's magical and beautiful. So as an English teacher, I spend quite a lot of my time teaching phonics. And one of those phonics rules is the silent or magic E rule. And this town name looks like it should have a magic E vowel in it, that it should be the long O sound. It should say Frome. It doesn't. This town name, correctly pronounced, is Frome. It is not said Frome, and it is not said from. You are not from, you are from Frome, which is a bit of a mouthful. Now, Frome is a lovely little place that was actually voted as one of the best places to live in the UK. So knowing how to say it, in case you want to go there and live, will be quite useful for you. Next, if you gave me this one and put it in front of me, I would say it incorrectly all the time. It is a tricky one. Pronounced correctly, it's Gateacre, like the movie with Jude Law a few years ago. We don't say Gateacre or Gateacre. If you're trying to say it the way it's spelled, just stop. It's Gateacre, and no, we don't know why either. Gateacre is known for historic charm, big Victorian buildings, and it's definitely worth a visit if you're in Liverpool, but do it after you've seen all the Beatles stuff like Penny Lane and Strawberry Fields. Now, a name that trips up almost everybody is this one, Gloucester. Pronounced correctly, it's Gloucester. We don't say Gloucester or Gloucestershire. We just drop half the syllables and say Gloucester. English place names, lots of them, are like that, efficiently illogical. Now, Gloucester was the birthplace, so they say, of King Edward II, though I think he was born a little into Wales. But it's definitely his burial place, and has a history that's full of royal intrigue because he wasn't one of our most popular kings. Nobody gets this right first time. Nobody. So if you do, congratulations, well done. You're the first one. It's not pronounced how it's spelt. It's pronounced Gumster. Don't know why. I guess because it's too long. Locals shortened it to Gumster, which sounds like a trendy chewing gum. Either way, it's not as complicated as it looks, even though some people say it's Godmanchester, which I don't think it is. The town has Roman roots and is located on the great river Ouse, which people also say wrong. It's not Ouse, it's Ouse, and has got roots back over 2,000 years. Lots of people know where this is. It's in Greater London. It's a lovely place, and it's so often said wrong, especially by people trying to get there. We don't say Greenwich. We say Greenwich. So not Greenwich, not Grenwick. It's not about witches or wicks. It's just Greenwich. The W is silent, and if it's too polite to make a sound. And it is famous for being the location of the prime meridian. It's literally at the centre of the world's time zones. Next up, we have this one. This one is pronounced Hampshire. We don't say Hampshire or Hampshire. Just pretend the shire isn't fancy in most English words. We don't say shire, most, not all. We say shwa. We love that sound. It is a very nice place to live. There's Southampton and Portsmouth is where you will find the HMS Victory, which is a must visit for all history, especially naval history buffs. Get ready for this one. You won't get it right. Look how it's spelt. It looks like a happy place, doesn't it? But they got rid of that, and now they pronounce it Happisburgh. We don't say Happisburgh or Happisburgh, and if you're trying to find the happiness in this name, good luck. It's pronounced like the start of a haystack. Now, Happisburgh is home to one of the oldest lighthouses, if you're interested in lighthouses, and has archaeological finds that go back 800,000 years. It makes it one of the oldest human settlements in the UK. Next is Hunstanton, another Norfolk gem. Now, I put this one in because people say it's pronounced Hunston, but I've been looking at other YouTube videos and they pronounce it Hunstanton, like Walk With Me Tim, who I think is a great video channel, by the way. He pronounced it Hunstanton, and I think he's from Norfolk. But some people also pronounce it Hunston. Hunston, or Hunstanton, is famous for dramatic striped cliffs that look something out of a movie set. Next, this one looks simple, but it really isn't. It's pronounced Leominster. We don't say Leominster or Leominster, which is the same. The secret here is to squish all those syllables into one or two. If it feels wrong, you're doing it right. Leominster. It's known as the town of books, though there's quite a few towns in England that are known as the town of books, but it does have many independent bookshops and literary festivals. Next, we have one that's kind of closer to home for me, so I can say this one correctly. It's a classic. We pronounce it Leicester. We don't say Leicester or Leicester, and the trick here again is to ignore 2/3 of the letters. Why write them if you're not going to say them? Nobody knows. Leicester made global headlines for a little while in 2012 when King Richard III was discovered under a car park. Not sure that's where he wanted to be buried. Is another one that's quite close to home for me. And it's one that, if you're not from the area or from the UK, probably going to get wrong. It's pronounced Loughborough. We do not say Loughborough or Loughborough or Loughborough, which has been said to me before. And this one, the first part sounds like tough, and the second part is just bruh, like a really laid-back friend. Now, Loughborough is world famous for university, especially in the fields of sports science. And as you can tell, I didn't go to that university. Number 17 is in Oxford and Cambridge universities, and it's often said wrong. So let's get academic with Magdalen College. That's right, it's pronounced Magdalen. We don't say Magdalene or Magdalene unless you're on TV. The pronunciation doesn't seem logical, but when it comes to fancy colleges, tradition beats logic every single time. Magdalen College is famous for its May morning celebrations where the choir sings from the college tower at dawn, which sounds lovely unless you live close to it. What the Cambridge one is famous for, I'm not sure. Perhaps you can let me know in the comments below. Here's a favourite. It's actually quite easy, but people do make a mistake with this one. We say Norwich. We don't say Norwich or Norwick. The W here is silent, as if it's shy and doesn't want to interrupt. So we just say Norwich. And it was once England's second largest city. It's not anymore, but it does remain a UNESCO City of Literature. We've already been to Hampshire once. We're going back now. This is one of the coastal classic cities in England, and we pronounce it Portsmouth. We don't say Portsmouth or Portsmouth. The mouth isn't about your face in this one. It's about the schwa sound. Surprise, surprise. So it's just muth. Portsmouth is home to the historic HMS Victory, which was Lord Nelson's flagship during the Battle of Trafalgar. You have a 50-50 chance with the next one. We say Reading. We don't say reading as in reading a book. Don't let the spelling fool you. It isn't about books. It's just Reading, like the colour red. Now, Reading was a major player in the medieval wool trade and is now a hub for tech and business. Perhaps not the biggest hub though, hey? From Reading, let's go south. This one is Ruislip. Ruislip. We don't say Ruislip or Ruislip. Just think of rye like in the bread and slip like what happens when you go on ice. And we put them together to say Ruislip. Ruislip is home to the UK's oldest surviving Lido. And if you don't know what a Lido is, it was a popular outdoor swimming area, and this one was built in 1933. They say popular, but if you've ever been to the UK, you know the weather. So I don't think I'd want to go in that swimming pool. Okay, next is a pronunciation debate waiting to happen. Even the locals don't agree on how this town is said. I say Shrewsbury, but you can say Shrewsbury. And if you go to the town, it depends on who you ask. We don't say Shrewsbury or Shrewsbury. And the town is so divided over this that locals joke that you can tell where someone's from in the town, even down to the street, based on how they pronounce their own town name. Now, it's not just famous for having a confusing name. It's also the birthplace of Charles Darwin, the famous naturalist who changed how we think about life on Earth. And it's actually a really, really lovely market town as well. Let's move on to one that's also famous. Pronounced correctly, we say Salisbury. We do not say Salisbury or Salisbury. The L and Z sneak in there somehow, and the bury becomes brie. Just remember Salisbury. It's almost poetic. Salisbury is home to the stunning Salisbury Cathedral, which boasts the tallest church spire in the UK. It is also very close to Stonehenge, so if you are trying to drive there, then knowing how to say the name would be useful. Now this one looks as confusing as it sounds. We've already had Loughborough, but this is not Slough. To pronounce this one correctly, we say Slough. The OW is like how. Ow apparently can mean whatever it wants in English. I think at last count there were 8 different ways to say O-U-G-H, and in this one it rhymes with cow. Now Slough gained fame as the setting for the original UK version of The Office, which I think is probably the best version as well. Next up, we go north. This one is not Southwell, it is Southwell. We do not say Southwell and we do not say Southwell. The trick is to skip the TH drama and keep it casual. Southwell. Easy, yeah? It's actually well known for its stunning minster, an architectural gem dating back to the 12th century. This one is coastal again, down in Devon. We pronounce it Teignmouth. We don't say Teignmouth or Teignmouth or Teignmouth, which, could happen. The Tyne part is the red herring. Just say tin. And because mouth, it's actually muth, because of course it is. Teignmouth. Teignmouth is a picturesque seaside town with Victorian charm and beautiful beaches. Next one is a bit more sporty and is known for its football team. This one is not a 3-syllable word when it's a place name. It's actually pronounced Tottenham. We don't say Tottenham or Tottenham. The ham is barely hanging on in there. It's just Tottenham. Quick and simple, like a football chant. And it is, of course, home to Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, one of the most famous teams in the Premier League, but probably not the best. I'm going to get in trouble for that one. Getting close to the end now. This one looks simple, isn't, of course. We don't say Warwick, we say Warwick. Warwick. So don't say Warwick and don't say Warwick. Just drop the silent W entirely. Like it's gone to Warwick Castle for a holiday and never came back. And speaking of Warwick Castle, it's one of the best preserved castles in the UK, definitely worth a visit. And if you want to see something old in England, and old in England is definitely saying something because we have a lot of old stuff, Warwick Castle was actually built by William the Conqueror, which makes it almost 1,000 years old. So, you've all heard of this one. Pronounced correctly, it's Wimbledon. We don't say Wimbledon or Wimbledon. The trick is to soften the don into dun, and while you're at it, picture strawberries and cream. It is Wimbledon after all, which makes it home to the world's oldest and probably most prestigious tennis tournament, which attracts fans from all around the globe. So again, if you're traveling there, it is useful to say it correctly. And the last one isn't much fun, so I apologize in advance. We've got a real showstopper. I'm going to pronounce it correctly because if I didn't pronounce it correctly, it's actually really difficult to pronounce as it's spelt. The locals say Woolsbury. They don't say Woolfardisworthy or Woolfardisworthy. The name has 13 letters, but locals decided life was too short and we wanted this video to be shorter to pronounce them all. So they say Woolsbury. And it may be small, but its name is big and unforgettable. So there you have it, 30 or 31 with the bonus of the most difficult place names in English to say. How did you get on? Did you manage to say Loughborough? Did you manage to say Chomondeley? Which ones were the most tricky for you? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, if we made any mistakes or if we missed any out. Now you can use this list. We have a PDF version below that you can print out and use for your students, for yourself, test your colleagues, especially if they're native speakers, because we mess this up more than most. And don't forget, if it was fun or useful, press the like button. If you want more challenges like this, press the subscribe button. Hopefully see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Greenwich is famous for being the location of the I can't even say it. It says ooh. So the town name is ooh. But we do not say Gloucester or Gloucestershire. Or we do say Gloucestershire, we don't say. And there's a history, unbelievable. All the finds we found there, date back. It was once It was once England's second largest city. Not total